Part 7. Adorable Baby, The Miracle Doctor is So Awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 61. When Shen Yizi came back at noon, he saw Gu Hongsoon standing facing the wall. He was a little strange. He asked Bai Zioa. After learning what happened, the sympathy he had originally aroused was instantly annihilated. At first glance, he looks like a naughty child. He is probably spoiled at home, but he will not be spoiled when he comes to her. After all, she was not his, so she had no reason to discipline him on behalf of his family members. At noon, Shen Yizi specially made a meat and egg dish that Qingbao loved to eat to appease his little heart. Baby, come and try this egg and steamed beef. Eat another egg shredded pancake, vegetables can't be missing. Shen Yizi kept feeding Qingbao, and the little guy would not refuse anyone who came, opening his mouth to take in the food she brought. The already chubby cheeks were now more bulging. Seeing how well he ate, Shen Yizi was very satisfied. Baby, is it delicious? It's delicious, Qingbao always praised her dishes. The aroma wafted out of the room, and listening to the conversation between the mother and the son, Gu Hongsoon, who was standing under the wall, became even hungrier, and his stomach growled. While hungry, Shen Yizi and Qingbao also held grudges. Damn it! Hateful! That woman must have done it on purpose. When he returns to Beijing, he will definitely ask the imperial grandfather to punish her. He kicked the wall again and again, his face wrinkled with hunger. At the table, Shen Yizi served Qingbao wholeheartedly, and he also ate quite deliciously. Gu Swiding was also very calm, but Suyuyu's conscience was a little tortured. Does Shen Yi know? He knows very well that the person being punished outside is the emperor's eldest grandson. Is it really okay for them to eat like normal people here? Ahong must be hungry during the boat trip, why don't we let him eat before he continues to be punished? Gu Swiding actually couldn't bear it. After all, he was his grandnephew, but from the beginning to the end, Shen Yizi acted as if he didn't see Gu Hongsoon being punished, and didn't care about it. He didn't even ask a word about why he was being punished. Originally, he was still thinking about how to mention this matter to her. Now all the words are stuck in my stomach. His eyes fell on Shen Yizi, and Suyuyu also looked over. Baby, come here, eat the eggs and grow taller. Shen Yizi ignored the two people's gaze and happily fed Qingbao. This attitude has been very obvious. After dinner, Shen Yizi washed the dishes and gave Suyuyu the meal money he had paid before. This startled Suyuyu. Sister Yizi, what are you? Shen Yizi smiled faintly. I will be very busy in the future, and I'm afraid I won't be able to cook for you. You can handle it yourself. Also, take him away. She pointed at Gu Hongsoon. Are you trying to draw a clear line with them? Why so suddenly? Gu Swiding stared at Shen Yizi, very sure that she was angry, but he didn't know why she was angry and drove them away directly. I'm going to the hospital, why don't you leave? A few people had no choice but to walk out. Shen Yizi then walked out with Qingbao in his arms and locked the hospital door. Baby, mother will take you to the hospital. Gu Swiding and Suyakiyu looked at each other where they were. She must know what happened in the morning, right, but it's not like. From Suyuyu's point of view, Qingbao was just pushed by Gu Hongsoon. Gu Swiding also punished Ahong later, but Shen Yizi really didn't need to do this. Where can children play together without bumping into each other? What's more, Ahong's status is so noble. If it were in the capital, those aristocratic families would be eager to send their children to play with the emperor's eldest grandson. It doesn't matter even if their children are bullied, as long as they can build a relationship with the emperor's eldest grandson. It is true that Shen Yizi did not know the identity of Emperor Ahong's eldest grandson, but even if he was a child from an ordinary family, she did not need to worry about a child. Suyakiyu felt that she was a little unreasonable for the first time. How did he know that Qingbao was the flesh and blood of Shen Yizi, an existence that would never be touched by others? In the end, he was bullied by Gu Hongsun when she was away. How could she not be angry? Especially when this happened under the eyes of Gu Suiting and Su Yu. Fortunately, Gu Hongsun is just a child, and fortunately there is a little white frog here. What if there is any other danger? What if someone deliberately harms Qingbao? Is it the bad news about Qingbao that greets her? When he thought of this, Shen Yizi's hands and feet felt cold. How dare you hand over your treasure to them? It's safest to bring it yourself. The hospital is not busy anyway, so when there are no customers, I can spend more time with Qingbao. In order to avoid the last carriage incident, Shen Yizi tied a rope around Qingbao's waist so that he could not leave his sight. Plus she has little white frog by his side at all times, which makes her feel more at ease. Outside the hospital, a person walked over and then came back. This man has thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a mustache on his chin. He looks relatively innocent. He is the same juggler Lu Qi from before. What caught his eye was Qingbao, who was sitting on a blanket and playing in the lobby of the hospital. This is also what he has been looking for these days. Finally found it? Looking at the signboard of Huishantang, he stepped inside. "Doctor, I've been feeling a little dizzy lately, please check." Lu Qi sat down in front of the medical case in front of Shen Yizi, stretched out his arms, and watched Qingbao's every move from the corner of his eye. Shen Yizi checked his pulse and asked him a few questions. "Have you often felt dry mouth, weak, and blurred vision recently?" "Hey, doctor, how do you know? If you think about it again, what are the other symptoms?" "I always feel itchy on my back. Obviously I love to be clean. I take a shower every 3 days." Combining his pulse and symptoms, Shen Yizi made a judgment. "You are suffering from diabetes, and it has passed the early stage and cannot be cured. I will prescribe a dietary prescription for you to eat. In addition, you should pay attention to more activities and a regular diet." Lu Qi was startled when he heard this. He just pretended to be sick and came to the store to take a look, waiting for an opportunity to get close to the little doll. He didn't expect that he really got the disease, and it was such a disease of wealth. He was depressed for a while, and even the joy of finding Qingbao was gone. It's all gone a bit. Suddenly there was something in his hand. It was Qingbao who came over and gave him a marble. Lu Qi looked at his pure and clear eyes, suddenly afraid to look directly, and lowered her eyes. Shen Yizi lowered his head to write the prescription, but did not notice the scene. The dietary prescription she prescribed for Lu Qi was gorgon fruit stewed with old duck soup. Gorgon fruit, also known as chicken head rice, has a sweet, astringent, and flat taste, enters the spleen and kidney meridian, and has the functions of strengthening the spleen and stopping diarrhea, nourishing the kidneys and strengthening essence, dispelling dampness, and stopping vaginal discharge. The old duck meat can nourish the yin of the 5 internal organs and clear away fatigue. Its heat nourishes blood and promotes water circulation, nourishes the stomach and promotes fluid production. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 62. In his previous life, Shen Yizi met an old man who also suffered from diabetes. However, because he ate this dish all year round, his symptoms disappeared and his complexion became rosy. He was over 80 years old, but he looked as if he was in his early 60s. So this recipe has been proven. It's just that different people have different constitutions and the effects will be different. So Shen Yizi prescribed him another bottle of Zioke pills, which can greatly alleviate the condition of Zioke syndrome. After writing the prescription, she looked up and the person in front of her disappeared. When she turned her head, she found that he was squatting in front of Qingbao, playing with him. He couldn't help but smile. "My son, isn't he cute?" "Cute, cute, I really want to take it home," Lu Qi replied subconsciously. After finishing speaking, I realized that I had let something slip. However, seeing that Shen Yizi didn't think of going anywhere else, I felt relieved. While leaving, he teased Qingbao a few times, as if he was conquered by his cuteness. Shen Yizi didn't think much about it. This man was quite restrained. There was a woman who came to see a doctor before. Her eyes were stuck to Qingbao the whole time and couldn't be pulled out. She hugged him and rubbed him. She couldn't bear to let him go and wanted to take him home. Posture. In this regard, she, as a mother, is full of pride and pride. My baby is very popular. As everyone knows, someone is plotting against her son. After returning home from the hospital, Lu Qi closed the hospital door, ran to the house, took out a box from the bedside cabinet, and opened the box. Inside was a jade sculpture of a yin and yang snake. Yin and yang snakes, one snake with two heads, one yin and one yang, one red and one green. He carefully took out the jade carving and said to it, "Sect Master, there is movement in the yin-yang pearl you gave to your subordinate. That person is a little baby. I have preliminary information about him. Please give me further information." After a moment, the red head of the yin-yang snake spoke human words, seriously. "Don't act rashly, tell me the address, I will come over now." The voice is like an aureole coming out of the valley, delicate and graceful, making people feel relaxed. However, Lu Qi did not dare to have any thoughts. "All right, Master. I am now in Langcheng, Hezu Prefecture, and are always waiting for your arrival." Lu Qi couldn't help but be surprised after getting excited. The door owner actually paid so much attention to that little baby. It seemed like he had to keep a close eye on him. Less than an hour later, there was a knock on the door outside. Lu Qi hurried over to open the door, only to see an ordinary-looking young woman standing outside the door. "Who are you looking for?" The young woman raised her eyelids and glanced at him. Those eyes, like a pool of spring water, are full of charm and sultry. Lu Qi reacted immediately, "Men." As soon as he opened his mouth, he realized what he was saying. He quickly stopped talking, turned sideways and respectfully invited the person in. "Where is the little doll?" After entering the door, the woman asked the first question. When the time came, Shen Yizi did not go home immediately, but went to the blacksmith shop. She was looking for Master Wang to make something again. She had already taken out the giant python that she and the ferocious beast had killed together. The skin, meat, teeth, blood, etc. were all sorted and sorted. Although the meat was poisoned by the little frog, she had already used the removal technique to get rid of the poison. She and Qingbao couldn't finish all the meat, so most of it was used to make dried meat. Blood and teeth also have their own uses. As for the python skin, she was going to use it to make armor. Even though the giant python was easily pierced by the little frog's tongue before, that's because the little frog is already strong. In addition, the tongue is its strongest part, and it can pierce the surface, so it is naturally easy to succeed. If it had been her, 7 or 8 people together wouldn't be able to break through the python's defense. So armor made of python skin should be able to resist most attacks in the world. This time, Wang Kantang didn't ask anything after getting the python skin. He only told her the pickup date. Shen Yizi presented him with homemade snake meat jerky, and he happily accepted it. "Xingzhou, we can't wait any longer. We must return to Beijing as soon as possible," Suyu said solemnly in the small courtyard. Just a quarter of an hour ago, Gu Suiting received a letter from the emperor. "The prince is seriously ill, come home quickly." Gu Suiting originally wanted to meet Shen Yi separately, but now it seems that time does not allow it. There must be turbulence and treacherous waves in the imperial capital. Something may happen a moment later. He must go back as soon as possible. "Let's leave now." Gu Suiting looked away from the next door. They have nothing to deal with. As for this small courtyard, if they have the chance, they will come back. Shen Yizi noticed something strange when he came back. The house next door seemed empty and there was no movement at all. She went and knocked on the door, but no one answered. Opposite, a young woman in her early 20s poked her head out from behind the door. The woman had an ordinary face, but her eyes were watery, exuding a quiet charm. Her figure was also slim and graceful under her plain clothes and thorn hairpin. It seems that the face is not in harmony with the whole person. They just left not long ago, the woman told her, her voice full of excitement. Gone. Once again leaving without saying goodbye. Shenyazi acted very calmly this time. Oh, thank you for letting me know. The woman was very enthusiastic. You are the one who lives diagonally across the street, right? The cooking at your house always smells delicious, and the smell spreads from far away, making my wife very hungry. Shenyazi smiled and said, I'm going to make plain-cut fried chicken tonight. If my sister-in-law doesn't mind it, I'll bring a bowl over for you to try. The woman clapped her hands and said, how can I dislike it? It's not too late for me to be happy. Sister, I won't be polite to you anymore, just wait a moment. She hurried in and came out after a while, handing Shenyazi a small jar. This is a pickle I made myself, but it is different from other pickles. I chop various fresh vegetables, soak them in shrimp oil, seal them, and then take them out after a year and a half and eat them. It's fragrant and crispy, fresh and appetizing, and goes well with rice and porridge. Girl, give it a try. It can be seen that this woman is also a person who likes delicious food. Shenyazi couldn't help but feel a little more cordial. Because of this food exchange, the two got closer and exchanged names. Shenyazi learned that the woman's name was Huanayang, her husband's surname was Zhang, and his family was engaged in small business. With the absence of goose-whitting, Shenyazi's life has not changed much. He still goes to the hospital every day to report and treat people. Cook various delicacies for 3 meals a day, and communicate with Huanayang from time to time. At night, I take care of the space and practice. The life was dull and fulfilling. A month passed in a flash, during which time Shenyazi went to the blacksmith shop to pick up customized armor. She was very satisfied with the armor. It was light, thin, transparent, and tough. Most importantly, its defense was very high. Even if she repeatedly hit the same place with a dragon-tooth dagger, it would still take several hits to break it. At critical moments, this armor can definitely withstand a fatal blow. This time, as a test, Shenyazi decided to give the remaining python skins to Wang Kantang for making. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 63. At least 4 sets of armor are required, right? She has 2 sets and King Bao has 2 sets, which are changed regularly. As a person who owns a whole pair of python skins, he is so willful. Qinben could no longer complain about her arrogance and inhumanity, so he could only try his best to help his master. When making armor from python skin, there will definitely be a lot of scraps left, Master Wang. You can dispose of those scraps on your own. Hearing this, Wang Qiantang couldn't help but feel happy. As a master of weapon refining, he was best at making rational use of resources. This pair of python skins would definitely have a lot left over after making 4 sets of armor. He couldn't refuse this advantage, but he wasn't someone who liked to take advantage of others. In this case, the remaining python skin can be regarded as my labor expenses. Also, after the 2 sets of armor were made, Shenyazi immediately put them on himself and Qingbo. The armor is light and soft, not much different from clothes, and can be put on directly. Shenyazi made a lot of moves, but the armor did not hinder her at all. Wang Kantang's weapon refining ability was even better in her mind. Dr. Shen, your new house is built. On this day, Li Jinjin came to tell Shen Yazi. So fast, she exclaimed. Dr. Shen, the wages you give are sufficient and the food you provide is good. Why don't those people work quickly? Otherwise, how can they get such high wages from you? Li Jinjin said. Of course, this is also due to his constant urging of supervisors. Because of his relationship, the progress was slowed down before, but then no one came to make trouble, so he asked the workers to work overtime in order to build the house as soon as possible so that Dr. Shen could move in as soon as possible. Seeing that he was sweating profusely, Shen Yazi was not in a hurry to go back, but asked, "Have you eaten? I'm about to go back to cook. You go back with me and eat something at my place." Li Jinjin subconsciously wanted to refuse. "No need, Dr. Shen, No need, I can send you a meal, just listen to me and let's go." Shen Yazi hugged Qingbao and led the way. Li Jinjin hurriedly came to help. "Let me hold Qingbao." "No need, just a few steps and we'll be there soon." Shen Yazi was not being polite, but she lived not far from the hospital, just across the street. Entering the courtyard, Shen Yazi put down his treasure, poured a cup of tea for Li Jinjin, let him sit wherever he wanted, and went to work in the kitchen. During the meal, Li Jinjin was full of praise for Shen Yazi's cooking skills. He didn't want to act like a starving ghost in front of her, but the food she cooked was so delicious that he really couldn't help but eat it. Wolf. During this period, Hui Niang came over and brought her fried rice and fruits. This is a kind of delicacy in which glutinous rice flour is rolled into round and fine grains and stir-fried with rice nuts, shepherd's purse, and finely minced ham. It can be used as both a snack and a dish. Shen Yazi gave her the fried whitebait he made in return and chatted with her for a few words. Hui Niang saw Li Jinjin and blinked at her ambiguously. "Is that your man? Why don't you see him usually?" Shen Yazi patted her lightly and said, "Where is that?" "That's a young man from our village. I asked him to help build a new house before. Now that the house is built, he came specially to tell me." "That's it." Hui Niang's eyes glanced around Li Jinjin, focusing on his back and arms. "Then when you host a warm house wine party, I will go and support it." "That's easy to say, I'll definitely let you know when the time comes." After dinner, Shen Yazi said to Li Jinjin, "Jingang, you go back first. I still have some things to deal with here. I will go back early tomorrow morning." "Okay." Li Jinjin rushed to wash the bowl, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and left the courtyard. Shen Yazi went to Huishan Hall to sit in the restaurant in the afternoon, and said goodbye to shopkeeper Su when he left. Several people in the medical clinic were very reluctant to leave. Firstly, it was because of this cute and blessed little guy King Bao. Secondly, Shen Yazi had not only helped them solve many difficult and complicated diseases during the days he spent in the clinic, but also I would bring them delicious food from time to time. Now that she is leaving, they may not be able to eat the delicious food she cooked in the future. Don't think that I don't know what you really can't bear to part with. Come on, take these dried meats and preserved fruits and share them. There are also these jars of wine." Seeing the pile of things she took out, Su Guangbei, Su Jie and Nan Xing looked at each other and immediately pounced on them in unison. Shen Yazi found it funny. Early the next morning, she carried Qingbao and rode a green donkey back to Jiazhuang, followed by a carriage, which contained a lot of rice, noodles, meat, and vegetables, which she bought for the warm house wine. The new house was completed in almost a month. Shen Yazi was still worried that the house would be different from what she originally designed. However, after seeing it, she completely lost her worries. The house is tightly surrounded by a tall courtyard wall that is as tall as a person. The walls are painted white, and a circle of seasonal flower trees, such as peaches, pears, and apricots, are planted around the base of the wall. At a glance, the red flowers, white walls, and blue tiles create a poetic and picturesque atmosphere. Entering the red-painted copper-ringed gate, there is a spacious and open courtyard. The bluestone road divides the courtyard into two parts. On the east side is a large kitchen and a grass pavilion. In the pavilion, there is a well. To the west, there is a transplanted pomegranate tree as thick as a bowl, with lush branches and leaves, casting a deep shade, and strings of flowers showing their half-open style. There is a set of stone tables and benches under the tree for people to rest and eat on in the summer. It must be very comfortable with the cool breeze blowing. Directly to the north, there are three large rooms. The middle one has the best light and is the main room for entertaining guests. To the east is the dining room and to the west is the guest room. Going through the main room, there is a square patio, which is still quite large. There are three wing rooms to the east, a cloister to the west, and a three-story building to the north. This small building is the residence that Shen Yizi arranged for himself and Qingbao. The first floor of the small building is the living room, study room, and King Bao's game room. The second floor is her studio and bedroom. The third floor is only half the area of the first and second floors. It is a place for cultivating immortality and overlooking. Standing in front of the railing, you can have a panoramic view of the entire Jiazhuang. There is no furniture in the room, so it looks empty. However, Shen Yizi still couldn't restrain his excitement. He took Qingbao back and forth and turned it up and down. He was extremely satisfied. Many villagers came to visit and admired it. This house is so magnificent. Dr. Shen is really rich, he can actually afford such a big house. This room is so clean that I'm embarrassed to put my foot down. The villagers walked around in and out, touching the clean walls and painted red pillars with their hands from time to time, their eyes filled with envy. Dr. Shen, when are you going to hold a warm house reception? Then all of us will come to celebrate with you. A villager asked with a smile. Tomorrow. Everyone will have to come to support me, Shen Yi knew. Sure. After seeing the fresh scene, the villagers all left one after another. Only Aunt Li and Yang Qifen, a few close family members, stayed. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 64. Shen Yizi brought out fruits and snacks to entertain them, chatting and gossiping about the village. Not long after, the furniture she customized in the county arrived. Men Li Jinjin and Li Dachun helped move the furniture into the house, while Aunt Li and the women helped Shen Yizi place the furniture. After working for a few hours, the house finally looked like something. The rest will be sorted out slowly, there is no rush. Shen Yizi cooked a sumptuous meal and left Aunt Li and others to eat. By the time they were full of food and wine, it was almost evening, and several families left one after another and went home. Shen Yizi closed the courtyard door and breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at the brand new house in front of me, I felt a sense of satisfaction and stability. At this point, she has her own roots in this strange world. She will probably stay here for a long time in the future. This is her first home in another world. She had worried before that building such a big and spectacular house would be too eye-catching compared to other houses in the village. But then I felt relieved. As long as she is strong enough, what if others are envious, jealous, and hateful? It can only make herself sore to death, and it will not have the slightest impact on her. So, the most important thing is to feel comfortable. Baby, we have a new house, aren't you happy? New house, happy, Qingbao stood in the yard with bright eyes, looking straight at the big house in front of him. Come on, let's go in and decorate our new home. Shen Yizi took Qingbao and walked in. Take out the corresponding objects stored in the space one by one and place them in appropriate locations. The clothes, shoes, hats, etc. were put in the cloakroom connected to the bedroom. Bedding was spread on the bed, and the slippers she and Qingbao wore were placed on the footrests. Lay a thick carpet on the ground close to the bed, and place King Bao's dolls, jigsaw puzzles, wooden horses and other toys for him to play on. Afraid that he would be hungry, Shenyazi placed snacks and milk on a low table not far away. When he was tired from playing, he could just walk a few steps to eat. After working for more than 2 hours, she made the entire small building warm and comfortable, and she felt full of accomplishment. As for the front yard, let it be like that for the time being, and then arrange it slowly to avoid others being suspicious. The house has just been built today, and the villagers are curious and come to visit. Naturally, she can't stop them. But after today, she won't let people come to the small building easily. This is a private area that only belongs to her and Qingba. A good night's sleep. It was still dark the next day, and Aunt Li, who had been instructed by Shenyazi yesterday, came early with Li Chuntao to make warm house wine for her. Also here are the 2 women who were in charge of the workers' meals with her. With 4 people, plus Shenyazi, the kitchen was suddenly bustling with activity. Yang Qifen sat in the yard with Xiao Man, who was only 1 month old, and helped Shenyazi look at Qingba. Sisters Hizi, a person named Huanyang is looking for you. Li Chuntao led a person in. Shenyazi hurriedly came out of the kitchen. Huanyang, are you here? Come in and sit for a while. Huanyang said before that she would come to celebrate her, so she sent someone to deliver the message early in the morning. As she spoke, she welcomed Huanyang into the house. Huanyang gave her an angry look. I'm not an outsider, why are you so polite? Well, this is a congratulatory gift. After giving her what she had brought, Huanyang approached Qingba. Shenyazi put down the things and told Yang Qifen, Sister Qifen, please help me entertain Huanyang. Dr. Shen, don't worry. Yang Qifen greeted Huanyang warmly. By mid-morning, all kinds of meat and vegetables were almost ready in the kitchen. They were placed in wooden basins by category, just waiting to be cooked. Li Dachun and Li Jinjin are responsible for the outside affairs, such as borrowing tables, chairs, and benches from the villagers, and setting up banquets. Li Xiaodong was assigned the task of recruiting people. By the time every household was notified, he was already sweating profusely. Thank you for your hard work, Xiaodong. Shenyazi brought out a bowl of yam and pork rib soup to him. First, I'll comfort my stomach. The little food Li Xiaodong had eaten in the morning had long since disappeared. Now he was so hungry that his stomach was growling, so he said no polite thanks and took it and ate it. It smells so good. Village people arrived one after another, and each family brought some congratulatory gifts, such as a basket of eggs, a piece of meat, a piece of cloth, etc., all of which were thoughtful gifts. Shenyazi wrote everything down on paper. Before the banquet even started, the villagers gathered together to chat and eat melon seed snacks on the table. Drink a cup of fragrant and sweet tea when you are thirsty. This feeling is so comfortable. They don't have such a good opportunity to eat and drink on weekdays. At almost 11 o'clock, the banquet started. Li Dachun and the others were once again arrested as coolies and became the waiters, bringing plates of dishes to the table. First, there are 4 dishes of cold dishes, braised pig ears, soy sauce pork, salted peanuts, and cold black fungus. 2 meat and 2 vegetables, these cold dishes alone shocked the villagers. When the hot dishes were presented later, they almost stared out of their eyes. Honor, this is even more impressive than the flowing water table Mr. Gu invited last time. After the cold dishes, there are 4 hot dishes, chicken cakes, chicken oil mushrooms, fish-flavored shredded pork, and stir-fried shrimps. 8 major dishes, white-cut fried chicken, braised carp, beef meatball soup, braised pork, steamed pork, white meat blood sausage, spicy chicken, yam, and pork rib soup. The noodle dish is roasted suckling pig. The roasted suckling pig was served whole on a plate as big as a basin. It was still oily and steaming. The aroma instantly swept through everyone's senses, making them unable to feel anything else and just stare. Looking at the roasted suckling pig in front of me. Hurrying to move the chopsticks. After the noodles are served, there are 4 accompanying dishes: braised cabbage heart, Chinese cabbage in vinegar, steamed egg with minced pork, and diced pork with chili pepper. After eating those big meats and big meats before, try these side dishes again. How can the taste be so wonderful? Finally, there are 2 desserts, 1 pumpkin pie and 1 fruit platter. This warm house wine made everyone marvel. Of course, while they were amazed, their mouths never stopped and they were all eating hard. Where can they get such good food on weekdays? There is no such opportunity even during the Chinese New Year. A meal that lasts until mid-afternoon. The villagers took the return gifts from Shen Yizi and went home satisfied. In return, there was a letter of cakes, a handkerchief, and Shen Yizi's homemade insect-repellent incense. This gift is heavier than most people bring. Can the villagers be dissatisfied? Of course, some people felt sorry and took the initiative to stay and help clear the tables and chairs. Huaniyang didn't leave either, and helped with the work neatly. After the banquet, there will inevitably be a lot of leftovers, and it would be a pity to throw them away. The villagers rarely eat meat and fish a few times a year, but they don't mind it. When they learned that Shen Yizi asked them to share it and take it home, they were all overjoyed. With more people and greater strength, we were busy until evening, and the messy yard was finally cleaned up. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 65. Before leaving, Aunt Zhao said to Shen Yi, "Ji Niang, I'm always worried about you living with Qingbao. It just so happens that my yellow dog is about to give birth. How about I get you a puppy by then? When you grow up, I can help you take care of your home." I was just thinking about this, so thank you, ma'am. Hey, why are you so grateful for such a small thing? Seeing that it was getting late, Shen Yizi said to Huaniyang, "When you go back, the city gate will probably be closed. You can stay here with me tonight." Huaniyang hugged Qingbao and kissed her sweetly. "Auntie is going to stay and sleep with Qingbao. Isn't Qingbao happy?" Qingbao broke away from her arms without shame, ran to Shen Yizi, and hugged her legs. Both of them were amused and laughed. "Huaniyang, you probably didn't eat much just now, right? I'm going to make something to eat, please wait a moment." Huaniyang had been helping in the kitchen before. Instead of serving food, she followed them in the kitchen to fill their stomachs. Okay. Shen Yizi didn't make anything too complicated. He simply made a few egg pancakes, rolled them with juicy lettuce and soy sauce, took them out, and made a pot of vegetable soup. It's relatively light, but the taste is indescribable. The 3 of them sat on the stone bench under the pomegranate tree, eating a piece of cake and a mouthful of soup, and eating deliciously. It's such a comfortable day. After eating, Huaniyang stood up, stretched, and took Qingbao for a walk in the yard to eat. Shen Yizi took the dishes and chopsticks into the kitchen and washed them. I had just finished washing and was wiping my hands when someone knocked on the courtyard door. Shen Yizi thought he was from some village, but when he opened the door, he saw an unknown young man with an ordinary face and a cold temperament. "Who are you?" "Excuse me, is this Dr. Shen Yizi?" the man asked. "I am." Shen Yizi was still standing by the door and did not invite him in. "I am here to give you gifts on the orders of my young master, and wish you the joy of moving into your new home." The man turned sideways, revealing the carriage behind him. "Who is your young master?" "My young master's surname is Gu." Shen Yizi immediately thought of Gu Switting. Just, how did he know that he had moved into a new home? Could it be that even though everyone else is gone, people are still paying attention to every move he makes? She guessed right. Gu Switting returned to Beijing in a hurry, but because he couldn't let go of Qingbao, he left Jianwu behind to protect them secretly and keep an eye on their situation. After Shen Yizi left the small courtyard in the county town, Ganwu immediately followed her and wrote a letter to Gu Switting about her situation. Hearing that she had moved into a new home, Gu Switting naturally had to express something. So, there was the scene in front of me. This man who comes to deliver gifts is Gan Wu. After moving the things in, Gan Qian left quickly without even taking a sip of tea. Shen Yizi looked at the pile of things in the room with a complicated mood. Hui Niang walked over and glanced at those things. There was something strange in her eyes, but she quickly returned to normal. These things look a little unusual. The others were fine, but two of them were so rare that even she was a little moved. She picked up a brightly colored, extremely soft blanket and stroked it gently. If I'm not mistaken, this should be a dust mattress. Chen Mat, a small beast covered in bright red and shaped like a deer, suddenly flashed in Shen Yizi's mind. It's a pity that this fragment flashed by, and before she could remember what it was, her memory was broken. Besides the Tianyuan Empire, there are countless countries, large and small. Among them, there is the Goli Kingdom. There is a kind of dust-removing beast in this country. Its fur is extremely bright, but it is spotless and can always stay clean. Use its fur mattress made of fur also has this characteristic. However, the dust beast rarely appears in front of people and is difficult to catch, so its fur is either extremely precious or difficult to buy even if you have money. Hui Niang caressed the mattress with envy in her eyes. Shen Yizi was very calm about this. After all, she had seen a lot of strange things. It was just a mattress, not a flying carpet, so it was not enough to make her fuss. Looking at her expression, Hui Niang raised her eyebrows slightly and picked up another item. This is a small tripod, of course, about 30 centimeters in height, about the same size as a rice cooker. It is as smooth as jade and as white as grease. Shen Yizi thought it was just a decoration, but he heard Hui Niang say, "Have you ever heard of the everlasting burning cauldron? Eternal burning cauldron." Shen Yizi repeated softly, and a vague fragment flashed through her mind again. In the fragment, she was flipping through a book called Stories of Strange Objects, which contained various strange things. There is this ever-burning cauldron among them. On the page he opened, the tripod in front of him was clearly drawn. It's just that the content inside is like seeing flowers in a fog, and I can't remember it clearly. She shook her head. Hui Niang thought she was shaking her head, so she gave her some knowledge. The cauldron is always burning, and the food in it cooks by itself without igniting the fire. The food cooked is extremely delicious. Eating it for a long time can make people rejuvenate and prevent all kinds of diseases. This sinking consciousness was a bit shocking, because it was completely beyond her cognition. Could it be that this ever-burning cauldron is a magical weapon? Only magical instruments can have such strange effects. This is the ever-burning cauldron. Hui Niang tapped her fingers on the cauldron, and a pleasant clear sound sounded. Looking at the tripod, there was a deep greed in her eyes, wanting to take it for herself. Originally, she thought that the ever-burning cauldron was just a mythical creature fabricated by unsophisticated mortals, but only after actually seeing it did she realize that the ever-burning cauldron was not exaggerated, and even its wonders were far more than what people said. Because with her knowledge, she could not tell the level of this tripod. The patterns on the tripod may seem unremarkable at first glance, but upon closer inspection, they become deeply embedded, making it impossible to see through the mystery, and even causing a dull pain in the eyes and head. Hui Niang quickly looked away, not daring to stare closely. Logically speaking, it is impossible for any powerful magic weapon to exist in this interface with thin spiritual energy, but this ever-burning cauldron might be a scattered magic weapon. Thinking of this, her heart couldn't help but beat loudly. Hui Niang, you really know a lot. Shen Yizi had a strange feeling in his heart. According to Hui Niang herself, the couple were just businessmen doing small business. How could they know these things so well and know so many treasures? Hui Niang was startled and realized that she had lost her temper when she saw the baby. She smiled and said, "I just like to read some fairy tales and the like. These are all from books. They will make you laugh. Where, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't know this. Why don't I try it now to see if it's really that magical? Shenyazi picked up the ever-burning cauldron. Let's go, I want to see it too, Huanayang said cheerfully. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 66. The two of them came to the kitchen, and Shenyazi brought a prepared whole chicken. He had prepared a lot of ingredients for the banquet, so he naturally kept the untouched ones. She cut some side dishes such as mushrooms, bamboo shoots, and fungus and stuffed them into the chicken's belly, sewed the belly shut, and smeared a layer of sauce on the chicken. After thinking about it, she chopped the garlic into fine pieces. Just grab the bottom with a kitchen knife and put it into the ever-burning cauldron. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Qingbao suddenly ran in and bumped into her leg. The kitchen knife in her hand slipped and she cut her other hand open, causing blood to flow out. Hiss! She quickly pulled her hand back and held it down. Ah, there's a lot of blood. Ji Niang, do you have any medicine to stop the bleeding? I'll go find it and apply it on you, Hui Niang said worriedly from the side. Shenyazi was very calm. He took out a box of hemostatic ointment from his pocket, picked up a small amount with his finger and applied it on it. The bleeding stopped immediately. Fortunately, Hui Niang nodded on Qingbao's head. Little guy, did you know that you got into trouble? Qingbao stood on tiptoes and grabbed Shenyazi's hand, calling her, fly away in pain, mother doesn't hurt anymore. Shenyazi was still a little angry at first, not because he was injured, but because Qingbao was reckless. Fortunately, he bumped into her. If he bumped into something else sharp, his head would be damaged. But seeing how caring he is, how can you be willing to be angry with him? You can't run around next time, you know. She knelt down and pinched his chubby face. Qingbao nodded and snuggled into her arms. Looking at the scene of mother and son loving each other, Huanayang narrowed her eyes, and her heart, which had been as hard as iron, softened for a moment. However, the next moment, when her eyes fell on the ever-burning cauldron, her expression suddenly changed. Just now, the blood in Shenyazi's hand dripped on the ever-burning cauldron, and it was actually absorbed. That is to say, it is very likely that it is the eternal burning cauldron of the divine weapon. I recognize her as the owner. Did he make a mistake? He actually recognized his master after a drop of blood. Does Chang Randing have any consciousness of being a divine weapon? How could she accept Shenyazi so easily? She is just a mortal. Hui Niang was roaring in her heart, almost going crazy. Had she known this, she would have taken the lead and bled out the ever-burning cauldron to identify its owner. It's a pity that the world didn't know earlier. Hui Niang looked at Shenyazi, who was still unaware, and almost broke up because of jealousy. Have you ever felt that something was wrong? Huh? What's wrong? I'm fine. It's just a small wound. It's fine. You don't have to worry. Shenyazi shook his hand to indicate that the wound stopped bleeding. The corner of Hui Niang's mouth twitched. She didn't care about her injury, did she? The vegetables in the cauldron were stained with blood. Shenyazi took them out and washed them, then cleaned the Changran cauldron again, then put the ingredients in again and closed the lid. However, after waiting for a long time, the chicken in the cauldron was not cooked, and it was even the same as when it was put in. It seems that the legend is just a lie. How can the food be cooked without making a fire? Shenyazi looked disappointed and put the ever-burning cauldron into the cupboard. As the night progressed, Shenyazi arranged Huanayang in the guest room and took Qingbao into the small building. The moment she stepped in, her face became solemn. That Hui Niang is definitely not simple. It was only today that she discovered that she was suspicious. She an ordinary woman, was so familiar with those legendary beings. It was impossible for her to read them from some magical book like she said. This is one. What really alarmed her was the sentence she asked her earlier. Just after she sensed that she had formed a blood contract with Chang Randing, she asked her if she felt something was wrong. Ordinary people would never be able to discover her contract with the everlasting burning cauldron, so Huanayang, who has always behaved like an ordinary woman, is actually unusual. Maybe, she is a monk. So, what is her purpose in approaching her? She had not been wary of her at all after we had been together for nearly a month. Now that I think about it, it's really scary to think about it. Looking at Qingbao, who was rolling on the dusty mat, looking innocent and carefree, Shen Yizi suddenly smiled. She is not afraid of any of his evil spirits or his schemes. She will chop off the claws of anyone who dares to come. Qingbao, my aunt is about to leave, can you give me a hug? The next day, after breakfast, Shen Yizi took Qingbao and sent Huanayang to the entrance of the village. She seemed reluctant to let go of Qingbao, and she opened her arms for a hug. Qingbao did not let her succeed and hid behind Shen Yizi. If it was before, Shen Yizi wouldn't think too much about it, but now he realizes that maybe Qingbao has already noticed that Hui Niang has bad intentions, so he doesn't like her closeness and always avoids her. After all, a child's eyes are the purest and brightest. Maybe he has already seen through Huanayang's disguise. He recognized Gu Hongsun, who turned into a monkey at a glance. Isn't this a clear proof? You little heartless boy, my aunt is still thinking about you. Hui Niang nodded Qingbao's forehead. Shen Yizi looked a little frightened. If Huanayang was really a monk, then any of her seemingly harmless actions might be hidden dangers. She had to check Qingbao's whole body thoroughly when she went back. After walking for a while, Huanayang looked back at Shen Yizi, who was gradually walking away. The corners of her mouth raised. This woman is really sharp. It seems that Huanayang's identity has been abolished. But don't be in a hurry, she has many identities, enough for her to take her time and achieve her ultimate goal. Shen Yizi returned home and first set up a small sky array around the yard for supervision and warning. As long as someone breaks in without permission, she will be aware of it. This formation, like the previous 3 fight formation, comes from the Encyclopedia of Formations handed over by Yi Chang. To be honest, the name Encyclopedia of Formations is very simple and rude, not lofty at all, but the content inside is very worthy of the name. There are all kinds of formations, from level 1 to level 9. It can be said to be an encyclopedia of formations. Even if she is just a formation novice, she can still draw some relatively basic and simple formations by following the steps explained above. With a small Tianluo formation as cover, Shen Yizi took Qingbao into the space. Qingbao didn't come in for a while, but as soon as he came in, he ran around happily. Shen Yizi didn't restrain him and let him have fun everywhere. After a month of tireless efforts to save people, the space is now basically as big as 2 football fields. The medicine garden, plantation, livestock area, and living area are clearly separated and do not interfere with each other. This place is like a paradise. Every time she comes in, she can relax wholeheartedly. In the living area, she used thorns and vines to make walls and placed furniture inside. As soon as she entered, she felt like an elf, living among flowers and jungles. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 67. On the small bed, Yi Chang coiled his body in a circle, and his body was covered with spiritual energy condensed into mist. After so many days, his body became increasingly bright red and radiant, as if he were carved from fine blood jade, and she couldn't help but want to touch it. But she was afraid of disturbing his evolution, so she held back and did not allow Qingbao to poke him. So as not to poke him into obsessive ways. Peach, I want to eat it. Qingbao ran to the peach tree, looked up at the plump and bright red peaches hanging on the branches, and drooled. There are no four seasons in space, but it does have soil and temperature that are most suitable for plant growth. Moreover, the flow of time here is different from that outside. Things that are planted will mature in a short time. Shenyazi remembered that this peach tree was just a peach branch that was randomly folded in. However, it took only a short time for it to grow into a tree and bear fruit. She wouldn't have noticed it if Qingbao hadn't reminded her. There was no way, now that the space was bigger, she couldn't detect the changes inside at a glance. Okay, mother will pick peaches for you to eat. Shenyazi came over and used the magic of controlling objects. With one move of his hand, a peach flew into her hand. Qingbao is at the stage where he likes to imitate adults. Seeing that she can make a peach with just one move of her hand, he also imitates her movements, reaches out his hand, and grasps it twice with his 5 tender little fingers. However, no peach flew over. He couldn't help but look at his mother doubtfully. Where's the peach? Shenyazi was really attracted by his cute little appearance. He pulled him into his arms and bit him on the cheek. Baby, how can you be so cute? Mommy loves you so much. Qingbao was still confused, his big eyes full of confusion. Shenyazi didn't know how to explain it to him. She knew about immortality and magic, but didn't know why. How could she explain it to him clearly? Just stuff the peach into his arms and eat it to stop his mouth. The peaches in the space are all nurtured by spiritual energy. They are clean and harmless and do not need to be washed. Seeing Qingbao holding it, he started to chew it, and Shenyazi didn't stop him. The mother and son sat under the tree, and each ate 2 peaches. After eating, they buried the peach stones directly on the edge. They thought that a small peach forest would grow here in a short time. Baby, you can play by yourself, mother has to go to work. She had already checked Qingbao just now and found nothing wrong. There are 2 possibilities. One is that Hui Niang has not had time to do anything to Qingbao, and the other is that she has already taken action, but her method is so clever that she cannot find out now. If it's the first one, that's okay, but if it's the second one, all she can do is wait for the knowledgeable Yi Chang to wake up, and at the same time work hard to practice and improve her strength as soon as possible. Shenyazi started to get busy, collecting medicines, processing various fruits and vegetables, and feeding a group of livestock. After finishing all this and practicing for a while, it was noon. She did not leave the space, but directly made a lunch here, using the ever-burning cauldron. After contracting the ever-burning cauldron, she understood how to use it. It contained various formations, such as fire formations, acceleration formations, heat preservation formations, etc. As long as she input spiritual energy, she could control it to cook. Just like using an alchemy furnace to make elixirs. Steaming, boiling, stewing, roasting, stir-frying, frying and other cooking methods can be controlled at your will, making it simple, convenient, and fast, just like a combination of various modern kitchen utensils. Shenyazi felt that the boss who made this magical weapon was really a wonderful person. She tried to cook a roasted chicken. It only took 3 minutes from putting it in to being cooked, and it tasted great. Even better than what she did in person. Shenyazi felt that he could save a lot of time on cooking in the future and use it for cultivation. Although she likes food and the process of making food, if it can be more convenient and faster, why not do it? She didn't know where Gu Swiding found such a treasure. This gift really suited her heart. She decided to forgive him for leaving without saying goodbye. Thanks to the ever-burning cauldron, Shenyazi prepared a delicious meal in less than 10 minutes, and he and Qingbao had a full meal. The rest of the time, apart from interacting with Qingbao, she basically spent in meditation. Time passed by the next morning. Shenyazi found some space and opened the courtyard door, and found a basket at the door, with a puppy lying in it that had not yet opened its eyes. Who sent this? She walked over and found a piece of cloth underneath the puppy. The piece of cloth said, "Dragon Dog, Goo." No need to think about it, it was sent by Goose Whitting again. Shenyazi's first reaction was not happiness, but frowning. If she remembered correctly, that day Aunt Zhao said she was going to give her a puppy to look after the house. There shouldn't be a third person present, right? How did Goose Whitting know? Did he still send people to keep an eye on her every move? When she thought of this possibility, Shenyazi felt uncomfortable all over. With such a big secret-like space, what she hates the most is someone staring at her all the time, because this means that the chance of her secret being exposed is greatly increased. Moreover, after what happened to Yi Chang, she would not dare to take any living creature home casually. What if it was another person whose body was taken away? Or can others know her every move through it? Then wouldn't her secret be exposed? Shenyazi stood up and spread her consciousness. Finally, she found a motionless figure on a big tree dozens of meters away. It was the man who came to give her a gift last time. That's probably the person Goose Whitting sent to monitor her, right? If it weren't for her spiritual sense, it would be really difficult for her to spot him. Shenyazi picked up the bamboo basket, walked under the tree, and put it down. "I don't want the dragon dog. You should also go back to your master. If I find you again, I won't be polite to you. In addition, go back and tell Goose Whitting, now that you're gone, don't be so sticky and disconnected anymore. I don't like this very much." Stem 5 on the tree. Is this really a village girl? Out of the 18 guards, he was the best at hiding, so he was discovered so easily? Completely unscientific. With confusion and dissatisfaction, Ganwu floated down from the tree like a wisp of black mist. He lifted the bamboo basket a few times and ran away without a trace. However, he did not really leave, but changed his position and continued to hide. This time he tried his best to hide, and he didn't believe he could still be discovered by that woman. It's a pity that he is too naive. Although Shenyazi is only an immortal cultivator in the early stage of qi refining, there is already a huge chasm-like gap between him and ordinary people. No matter how deep Ganwu hides himself, he cannot escape the perception of his spiritual consciousness. So his fate has been determined. Looking at Shenyazi, who appeared exactly under the tree again, Ganwu felt like a dog had been beeped. He was still lucky, thinking that Shenyazi had come here accidentally, but her next words broke his illusion. "Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome." Author, 955. Chapter 68. Are you going to come down by yourself, or shall I go up and pull you down? Her voice is light, her speaking speed is neither urgent nor slow, soothing and calm, but it gives people a huge pressure. This is the shock that comes from immortal cultivators to ordinary people. Ganu finally got down from the tree obediently. In fact, he really wanted to ask Shenyazi how he discovered him and where his flaws were. However, after hesitating for a long time, he still didn't ask. Just when he was about to turn around and leave, Shenyazi stopped him. "You won't forget what I said before so quickly, right?" Ganu was stunned. What did she say? That sentence about not wanting the dragon dog that the master worked so hard to get? The one that asked him to tell his master to draw a clear line with him? Still. That sentence about being rude to him if you find him again? Ganu prayed silently in his heart, never say this. Unfortunately, what we fear most often happens to us. Let's go. Shenyazi walked in front. She is asking him to go with her? Ganwu hesitated for a while and then followed him. Following Shenyazi into the courtyard, Ganwu slightly noticed something unusual, but if he was asked to say what was unusual, he couldn't tell. Shenyazi sat down on the stone bench and poured himself a cup of scented tea leisurely. "I happen to be short of a person who can test the medicine from now on. You can stay here to help me test the medicine and do some chores along the way. Are you okay with that?" Although it was a question, the attitude and the look in his eyes did not allow him to refuse. It's clear that they want to force Liang into prostitution, but they want to force him into hard labor. Master, you misunderstood me. This is not a weak village girl who needs protection, she is clearly a cruel person who hides her secret. Qianwu cried violently in his heart. Since then, the Shen family has had a medicine man and a servant, who is still a servant without a salary. The saddest thing is, you are not allowed to spy on me and pass my news to Goose Whitting in the future, and you are not allowed to step into the backyard without my permission, remember? Ganwu said dully, I remember. Very good. Shen Yizi threw a porcelain bottle over and said, 1 pill a day. First, take care of the hidden diseases in your body and keep your body in the best condition at all times. I don't want you to die easily. As a secret guard, he usually lives a life of licking blood from his knife edge. Naturally, Ganu has a lot of hidden diseases left in his body. Although it is not serious now, if it breaks out one day, his martial arts will be completely useless or he will be killed. At night, Ganu sat cross-legged on the bed in the guest room, holding a porcelain bottle in his hand, wondering whether he should take this medicine or not. The master clearly asked him to secretly protect Dr. Shen and his son and pay attention to their situation, so why did it become like this? Dr. Shen is the person that the master likes, so naturally he can't do anything to her, and he can't resist if he doesn't do it, so he can only obey his orders. Forget it, just eat. Miss Shen wouldn't harm him intentionally, right? Ganwu poured out a pill and drank it in one gulp. As soon as the pill entered his body, he felt a mild medicinal power spreading to his limbs and bones, moisturizing every part of his body. He was shocked, what kind of medicine is this? The effect is so immediate. One night passed, Shen Yizi came to the front yard, but as soon as he opened the door, he almost bumped into someone. It is exactly Ganu. He looked at her with a silly smile on his face. Good morning, Dr. Shen. What's the situation? The black question mark face emoticon popped into Shen Yizi's mind. But when she glanced at Ganwu's face, she understood that this boy probably realized the benefits of the recovery pill she gave him last night. After one night, the hidden disease in his body was a little better, and his complexion was not that bad. Pale, but with a healthy rossiness. Morning, she responded lightly and walked past him towards the kitchen. Dr. Shen, shall I fetch you some water? Dr. Shen, leave it to me to sweep the floor and wipe the table. Dr. Shen, didn't you say yesterday that you wanted me to give you a trial of medicine, when will it start? Qianwu, who has deeply realized the miraculous effects of the restoring pill, has become a bitch. How can he still be as cold as before? Shen Yizi glanced at him and said, why are you so anxious? We can wait until the hidden disease in your body is cured. Okay. Shen Yizi has always been very tolerant towards her own people. Besides, she also has a lot of food to eat, so she also made 5 portions of breakfast. And after eating the meal she cooked, Ganwu was extremely moved, it was so delicious. Originally, he was not very willing to take this job. As a secret guard, of course he wanted to perform those thrilling tasks. What was going on to monitor and protect a village girl? However, now he is extremely lucky that his master has given him this task. Otherwise, how could he have the chance to cure the hidden disease in his body and make it possible to break through the bottleneck? How can you eat such delicious food? When he gets back, he must show off to those grandsons and let them laugh at him for being sent to the frontier by his master. This is not a frontier, this is clearly a paradise, okay. After dinner, Shen Yizi took Qingbao for a walk around. He had a rough idea of the terrain. He went home and made a planning map to prepare for the use of the remaining land. The new house occupies about 1 acre of land, approximately 666 square meters, and there are still 3 acres of land left, which is enough for her to grow many things. She plans to grow fruits and vegetables in one part of the space, and medicinal herbs in the other part. Although she has planted a lot in her space, she can't always take them out, right? It's hard to guarantee that the stuff won't be exposed over time, so it's better to plant some outside to cover it up. Build another medicine house near the medicine garden specifically for treating people. Her reputation has already been established by sitting in the Huishan Hall before. All she needs to do is promote it, and a steady stream of patients will come here to see her. At that time, we won't have to worry about the space continuing to expand. Not bothering the two masters, Shen Yizi still found Li Jinjin and handed the matter over to him. Li Jinjin agreed without saying a word. From building a house before, he not only made money, but also earned a lot of face. His prestige in front of his brothers and fellow villagers increased, and his words had more weight. All of this was brought to him by Shen Yizi. He was deeply touched by Shen Yizi, but he was worried that he would not have the chance to repay her. Immediately summoned the previous group of brothers, entertained them for a meal at noon, and started working for Shen Yizi in the afternoon. Although these people are masons, they are also good at farm work. In a few days, a large piece of land was reclaimed and the vegetables and medicinal materials provided by Shen Yizi were planted. A circle of thorns was planted around it as a fence. The next step is to build the medicine house. Shen Yizi has already drawn the style of Yalu. The main body is built with bamboo and wood, and is built into a cylinder about 10 meters in diameter, with thatch on the top. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 69. The medicine house is divided into 3 areas: office, operating room, pharmacy, and small kitchen. Built a 3-story building at the back, with 4 rooms on each floor, plus a living room, specifically for patients who need long-term treatment, equivalent to an inpatient unit. In front of the medicine house, a long pavilion was built for those who wanted to see a doctor to rest and wait, which was equivalent to a registration area. The 3 areas are a whole that is connected to each other but separated by a certain distance. Shen Yizi had already thought of a name, so he decided to call it Shen's Medical Center. In the process of building the medicine house, Li Da-chun, a carpenter, put in a lot of effort, and the built medicine house simply exceeded her requirements. Yalu looks simple and rustic, but it is not crude and has a primitive beauty. Yalu is only a few dozen meters away from where she lives, and it only takes a few minutes to walk there, which fully fulfills her wish to walk to work. In the medicine house, it is inevitable to boil medicine for the patients, and Shen Yizi is not short of money, so he waved his hand and asked Li Jinjin to lead people to dig another well. Unexpectedly, after digging, an underground spring was dug out, and it was still hot. When Shen Yizi got the news, the coke was broken. He immediately rushed over to take a look. The hot spring water was not hot, only about 50 or 60 degrees, and the water quality was clear, which was perfect for taking a bath. She immediately asked Li Jinjin to lead people to dig a well in another place. As for the hot spring, it was naturally brought into the home. In this way, Li Jinjin had another job, building a bathhouse for her. It is not difficult to build a bathhouse. The key is how to divert the hot spring water. Shen Yizi suggested using bamboo as pipes to connect the hot springs and bathhouses. Li Jinjin was immediately inspired and went to work quickly. On the day before the Buddha bathing festival on April 8, all the projects were completed. Shen Yizi cooked a big meal himself, treated everyone to a meal, and gave them their wages. Now that she has the Chang Ran Ding, all she needs to do when cooking is to chop vegetables and add seasonings. She doesn't have to worry about the whole process. The meals she makes are so delicious that everyone praises them. That night, Shen Yizi took Qingbao to experience it in the newly built bathhouse. The bathhouse is built behind the small building. Go down the side stairs and turn around the corridor. The bathhouse is very spacious, covering an area of 50 square meters. In the middle is a large circular pool with a layer of rounded pebbles at the bottom, and the walls of the pool are made of sapphire. Shenyazi specially made the roof inlaid with fine colored glaze. The fine colored glaze here is almost the same as glass and does not block the view at all. And it is one way. The inside can clearly see the outside, but the inside is blurry from the outside. In this way, there is no need to worry about someone climbing on the roof to peek. The transparent glass occupies almost half of the roof area. Lying in the wide pool, looking up at the top of the head, the line of sight can penetrate without any obstruction. The clear and bright night sky appeared before her eyes like a peaceful picture. It's so beautiful. Qingbao seemed to be fascinated by the beautiful night sky. He leaned in her arms and looked at it without blinking. In the night sky, the stars suddenly moved, forming a giant dragon that rushed down and submerged into his body. Qingbao was so frightened that he hid in Shenyazi's arms, afraid. "What's wrong, baby? Don't be afraid, mother is here." Shenyi couldn't help but comfort Qingbao. She didn't see the scene just now. After a while, Qingbao raised his head again, but the dragon just now had disappeared. His eyes were full of doubts, but his attention was quickly attracted by the delicious cake his mother brought out. Children are inherently forgetful, and with the delicious food, the scene just now was immediately forgotten by him. After a comfortable soak in the hot spring, Shenyazi carried Qingbao to the shore, wiped off the water droplets on his body, put on comfortable pajamas, and walked into the small building. At the same time, the imperial capital was thousands of miles away. The imperial prefect's office. The imperial master, who was observing the stars in the pavilion, was horrified when he saw the scene of a giant dragon swooping down. The dragon elephant appears, and the emperor's son appears. However, looking at the direction in which the dragon is swooping, it is not the imperial city. Is it possible that the emperor's son is actually living outside? The imperial master counted his fingers and cast his gaze in the direction where the dragon elephant fell. That was the phoenix feather region in the south. Asterisk. Sisters Hizzy, you are having breakfast. Early in the morning, Li Chuntao walked into the yard. She came to invite Shenyazi to go to Yunqian Temple to offer incense and worship Buddha. Today is the Buddha bathing festival, and almost every household will go to the temple to offer incense. Have you eaten, Chuntao? Sit down and eat some together, Shenyazi greeted her. Li Chuntao had eaten breakfast, but looking at the dazzling array of delicious food on the table, she swallowed shamefully. Then I'm not welcome, sisters Hizzy. Grabbed a bun and took a bite, suddenly showing a happy expression on his face. After the meal, Shenyi knew, I boiled a pot of Buddha bathing water. Chuntao, please send a bowl to my family. Okay. Li Chuntao was very happy with the tasks assigned to her. The water for bathing the Buddha is brewed with various wonderful fragrances such as tango sandalwood, red sandalwood, tamaro incense, spikenard, xiong, white sandalwood, tulip, borneal, agarwood, musk, clove, etc. It exudes a purifying fragrance. The fragrance. Dip a willow branch into the Buddha bathing water and sprinkle it on your body, then all evil will not invade and all diseases will disappear. Of course, this is just a good wish of people. Ordinary Buddha bathing water does not have such magical effects. But Shenyi knew that the materials used and the brewing equipment used for the Buddha bathing water were extraordinary, so it was naturally extraordinary. Even if it cannot achieve such a mysterious effect, it can still resist the invasion of some diseases and evil spirits. After delivering Buddha bathing water to the villagers, Shenyazi took Qingbao and Aunt Li's family to Yunqian Temple. Yunqian Temple is a famous temple in Langcheng and even in Hezu Prefecture. On this day, there will naturally be an endless stream of people coming to worship Buddha. When there are more people, there are various needs. The traders sense the business opportunities and come here one after another to do business. Over time, it became a custom. The annual Buddha bathing festival is a big gathering. At the gathering, all kinds of things are sold. Some set up colorful tents, some set up stalls in the open air, and some hawked along the streets. Food, clothing, cats and dogs, daily necessities, embroidery, jewelry, antiques, calligraphy and paintings, spices and medicinal materials, flowers, teas and fruits. In addition to these, there are also fortune tellers who set up stalls, people who take the opportunity to sell talisman seals hand-drawn by a certain master in Yunzan Temple, and people who carry sedan chairs. There are so many of them, they are countless and dazzling. In the past years, when Qingbao was still young, Yao Niang was afraid that she would accidentally lose him if she brought him to such a lively place where people and snakes mixed together, so she never came once. As soon as Shen Yizi arrived, he was stunned by the scene. Qingbao in her arms was looking around, unable to see anything with his eyes. Don't they all say that Buddhism is a place of purity? These people do business in front of the temple, and they are not afraid of the Buddha's blame. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 70. Aunt Li smiled and said, Master Changfeng, the abbot of Yunqian Temple, said that if the Buddha saves all living beings, he will naturally not blame him. Besides, there is only one day in a year, so we people must be happy. Shen Yizi thinks that Master Changfeng is quite cute. On the way to the temple gate, Shen Yizi hugged Qingbao tightly, fearing that he would be carried away by the crowd. Aunt Li and Li Chuntao were guarding her, while Li Dachun walked in front to clear the way. Even so, this journey is still quite difficult. Otherwise, there were so many people that it was hard to describe how crowded they were. When he reached the steps in front of the Yunqian temple, Shen Yizi couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Looking back, all she could see were heads of people squeezing each other, and she still felt a little frightened. The vendors stopped at the bottom step and did not go up, so the steps were still relatively empty. Thinking about it, no matter how tolerant the people of Yunqian Temple are, they just allow those people to do business at the foot of the mountain. How can they really allow them to do business at the door? That's too outrageous. A few people came to the grass on one side of the steps, ready to rest for a while before going up. After all, there are 109 steps in total, and you can't climb it in a short while. It's better to rest and relax for a while. Shen Yizi took out a thin blanket from his bag and spread it on the ground. He asked Li Chuntao and others to sit on it, and placed snacks wrapped in oil paper in the middle. Auntie, Chuntao, Brother Dachun, you guys eat. Hey, okay. Aunt Li smiled and took a piece of pea yellow. It's fragrant and crispy, so delicate that it melts in your mouth. Compared with this, all the pastries I've eaten in the past instantly turned into dregs. Shen Yizi took out the water bag. The water bag contained not water, but rock sugar and snow pear water to moisten the lungs and promote body fluids. She handed one to Aunt Li. Auntie, this is the rock sugar and snow pear water I made. You can drink it to quench your thirst. What about you and Qingbao? Shen Yizi took out another one and said, there are more. She opened the bag, and Qingbao couldn't wait to put his mouth to it, holding the water bag in both hands and drinking. Because I drank quickly, some water came out of the corner of my mouth. Baby, drink slowly. Shen Yizi wiped his mouth. It seemed that he was really thirsty. A few people were sitting on the grass, eating snacks and drinking pear water, looking at the scenery leisurely, not to mention feeling very comfortable. At this moment, there was a noise not far away. Hey, Daddy, what's wrong with you? Why did you fall down even though you were fine? I didn't push you. In front of a small flower stall, the stall owner looked anxiously and helped up the old man who had fallen in front of his stall, while defending himself. Not long ago, the old man took a fancy to a pot of orchids on his stall. The two were arguing about the price, but the old man suddenly fell down, which shocked him. There was no one around the old man, so he really didn't know what to do for a moment. Many people gathered around, pointing and talking. At this moment, a female voice sounded, "Get out of the way first, let me take a look." Hearing this, the stall owner quickly got out of the way as if he was being pardoned. Look at the woman who came to his rescue. She has a big scar on her face. He was startled at first glance, but he quickly ignored her and paid close attention to her movements. She seemed to know how to heal, and she took the old man's pulse and made a diagnosis as soon as he arrived. The stall owner couldn't help but feel a little hopeful. Although the old man's fainting had nothing to do with him, he still fainted in front of his stall. What if his family members insisted on trying to blackmail him? So he hoped that the old man would wake up more than anyone else. Oddly enough, after checking his pulse, the woman with half her face disfigured gave the old man a pill, and the old man woke up soon after. This woman is naturally Shenyazi. The old man opened his eyes and covered his forehead with his hands. "I am." The stall owner breathed a sigh of relief. "My husband, you have finally woken up. If this girl hadn't saved you, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. I won't fight with you for this pot of orchids, just take the 30 taels of silver." He placed a pot of orchids at the old man's feet. After understanding the situation, the old man handed over to Shenyazi and said, "Thank you very much, girl. I have an old problem. I always get dizzy from time to time. Even after seeing the doctor and taking medicine, it doesn't work. This old man has hypoglycemia, but fortunately it is not serious." Shenyazi smiled slightly and said, "Old man, you are suffering from sugar deficiency. You should pay attention to eating on time and in the right amount. Eat more pork liver, egg yolks, lean meat, and other things. You can't be fasting like today. You'd better take a few pieces of candy with you in the future. Don't squat down when you feel dizzy. Eating one or drinking a bowl of sugar water will relieve the symptoms. In addition, you can take this bottle of medicine and take one piece every day. After you finish this bottle of medicine, the disease will almost be cured." She handed over a bottle of sugar pills that she had made. The old man hurriedly took it and said, "My surname is Kui. I wonder what your surname is." "My surname is Shen. Dr. Shen, this medicine money. You can give me 1 tael of silver and it will be done. That sugar pill can not only replenish sugar in the human body, but also supplement nutrition and nourish the body. 1 or 2 silver is really not worth it." Kui Mi has already experienced the effect of that sugar pill. Not only is he not dizzy at all now, but his body that originally felt empty now feels energetic, as if he is a few years younger, so he happily pays for it. Shenyazi got the money, gave it to the stall owner, and bought a bag of flower seeds. She heard just now that a pot of unflowered orchids can be sold for 30 taels of silver, and since she has space and a spiritual spring, the flowers she cultivates must be even more amazing. There is no reason why the flowers cannot be sold at a high price. And many flowers are also medicinal materials, such as peony, chrysanthemum, etc., which can also be used as cosmeceuticals and have many uses. Why didn't she think of planting more flowers before? When he returned to the original place, Qingbao and Aunt Li's family were missing. When he turned around, he found that they were picking cherries in front of a cherry stall. It's the time when cherries are in season. The cherries in the bamboo basket are all bright red and watery, like fine agate, which is pleasant to look at. Qingbao was leaning on the edge of the bamboo basket with his raised, and most of his body was inserted into it. Shenyi couldn't help but feel funny. When she walked over, the stall owner suddenly raised his head and looked towards her, smiling slightly, with charming and evil eyes in his eyes. Her heart felt inexplicably. The next moment, the stall owner grabbed Qingbao tightly into the bamboo basket, and the whole person and the bamboo basket sank into the ground and disappeared. Earth escape technique. Shen Yizi didn't expect to meet the monk here and kidnap Qingbao in front of her. Qingbao, she rushed forward, but the man had already run away with Qingbao. She hurriedly contacted Bai Zioa, but she couldn't sense it at all. She must have been blocked by that person on purpose. Damn it! Just when Shen Yizi was jumping anxiously, a burst of wild laughter suddenly came from the space. Ha ha ha, Yu Chang, have returned to the world. Xiao's Hizi, have you missed me? Who is it if it's not Yu Chang?